Okay, so yesterday, or maybe just a few minutes ago, you went over variations. We're going to do word problems with variations, and I know this can seem a little bit scarier, but watch what I do to the first question, and it'll make it just like it was yesterday. So let's start off by reading these three little bullet points we got up here. Use the given information to write a function. Solve for the constant k. Use the function k and other information to solve the problem. So it's going to be just like yesterday. It's going to give us a statement about inverses or is inverse my brain is slipping. It's going to ask us whether it's varying directly or inversely, and then we're going to decide, write the equations, and then we'll be good from there. So let's look at number one. It says the amount of chlorine needed varies directly as the size of the swimming pool. Now, there's a lot of stuff in there that we really don't need. So basically, it's saying that the C varies directly as the S swimming pool, okay? So it's the exact same statements that we had yesterday. It's varying directly, so we're going to have C equals the K and then the swimming pool. So there's a lot of information that you really don't need. Really, you just need chlorine varies directly as the swimming pool. C varies directly as S. Then it's going to give us some stuff to plug in. If 5 units of chlorine, so 5 equals the amount needed for 550 gallons of water. So I'm going to put 550K. Find the amount needed for 850 gallons. So we've got our equation here, just like yesterday, and some of these aren't going to work out too nicely, and you're going to get decimals today. But we'll divide by 550, and leaving this in a fraction is much easier. I'm going to have 1 over 110. So now I know my equation is C equals 1 over 110 S. If you put that in a decimal, it's not going to be pretty. Well, now it tells us how much chlorine is needed for 850 gallons of water. So the size of the swimming pool would be S, so C equals 1 over 110 times 850. And use some common sense here, okay? It already told us that 5 does 550, so you can probably guess it's somewhere in the vicinity of 7 or 8 that we're going to get for this answer. And this is probably when I'd put in my calculator. This is really, guys, remember 850 divided by 110. And when I put it in, I got about 7.7, and I'm just going to put units, chlorine, whatever it is. If you put 7.727 or 7.73, that's fine. Not going to worry about rounding. Same thing happens on the next one. The time required to travel a given distance varies inversely as the speed of travel. So really, we just need to think of the two things. I'm going to say T time varies inversely as speed of travel, so I'm just going to say S. So T equals K over S, because inversely is the fraction. And then we just work the problem. So let's see. They tell me if a trip can be made in 3.6 hours, guys, that's time, at a speed of 70, then how long will it take to make the same trip at 90? So we're talking about kilometers per hour, but that doesn't really affect us. So let's solve for here. I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator 70. 70 times 3.6, I got 252 equals K. So I know that T equals 252 divided by S. And now we can just finish the problem. It says, how long would it take to make at a speed of 90? So T equals 252 over 90, and 252 divided by 90, I got about 2.8, and that's going to be hours, because it is talking about kilometers per hour. So it's the same thing as yesterday, and I know word problems are usually harder, but this is just kind of cross out the stuff you don't need, and then, it'll make it a lot easier. Let's look at the page. They get a little bit longer, but not any big deal. Just take it slow. The power in watts of an electrical current varies jointly. So this is jointly where we're going to have like Y equals KXZ or something, okay? So something like that, as the resistance and the square of the current. So I'm going to say power in watts. I'm going to just call that P. So P varies jointly as, we'll say R for resistance, and the square of the current. The square of the current makes me think C, but it also is squared, so I'm going to put C squared. So P varies jointly as R and C squared. So P equals K, and then we have RC squared. So really not that bad. And once you write the equation, I mean, it's exactly the same as what we've been doing. So let's plug some stuff in. Let me see. It tells me that 600 watts, that's the power, because it said power in watts, so 600 equals K times R they give us is, now this is kind of tough. You have to be careful here. It draws a current of 50. Well, the current was what was squared, and a resistance of 24. So 24 is our R, and 5 is our C. And now it's just basically a multiplication problem. It's 5 squared. I'm just going to go ahead and change that to 25. So you get 600 equals 600K, or K 600. We divide both sides by 600, and K equals 1. So P equals 1 times RC squared. Now, you really don't even need the 1 there. I'm just putting it because, but if you don't think you need it, just don't put it there. And let's finish the problem. I think it tells us that P is 200 equals 1 times, we're looking for R if we're using a current of 1.7, and we square it. Don't forget to do that. A lot of people do. 1.7 squared, we get 200 equals 2.89 R, and we divide by 2.89. So I told you we're going to get some decimals here. I got R equals 69.2. And it's ohms, really, but I won't count off for that, okay? So that's probably the longest one that we have today. Again, it's not really mathematically difficult. It's just a lot of stuff to keep together, so write neatly. If Xavier, if you're listening to this, that's talking to you as well. Last one here, let's get it over with. I'm tired of making these videos today. The illumination in luxes of a surface area varies inversely, okay? So we're going to have some sort of fraction here with the square of the distance. So we have elimination. I'm just going to call it I. And square of the distance, I'm going to call that D squared. So I have I varies inversely with D squared. So I equals K over D squared. So if I were you, I would try to do this one myself real quick. Give it a shot. You can obviously pause to do that. I'm going to keep going, so hopefully you've done it. They tell us the elimination is 24. I don't know why I wrote 254. It's 24 equals K over the distance squared, so 7.5 squared. And then basically, and you can do this out, just multiply both sides by 7.5 squared. And when you get that, you should get 1,350 equals K. So that's just a calculator thing. I don't want to waste a lot of time talking about it. So I know that I equals 1,350 over D squared. And then it says, what is the elimination when the distance is 15? So 1,350 divided by 15 squared, that's 1,350 over 225. And I got that I equaled 6 luxes. So guys, make sure and ask questions if you have them. I mean, I expect to be answering questions. I'm not at the school as much as I should be. It's normal. So, and if I have to spend 6 hours up here answering questions, that's totally fine. So ask questions if you have them. Look over your homework. Do your best. Check them on the key when I put them out, and then we'll have that quiz. All right, guys. Good luck.